Chats, a bearded Steve podcast. Bearded Steve podcast.
Welcome back to Quacks Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast, episode 3 already. First of all, thank you for all the lessons and feedback on episode 2, my young carer story. That was a heavy one, and it meant a lot. People connected with it. But this week, it's a little bit less of a rant and more about Quacks and Chats. We're talking about burnout in work, in gaming, in streaming, basically in life. I've been there, worn the t-shirt until it had holes, and I'm still trying to put it on, thinking it's a good top. Don't worry, we've got the gaming news roundup and a funny story or two to lighten the mood as well. Speaking of funny stories, here's one where Burnout Brain had me looking like an absolute muppet in hospitality. I remember one shift where I must have walked back in the kitchen like 3 separate times to ask what table the food was for. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Same plates, same order, 3 trips back and forth because my brain just couldn't compute. By the 3rd trip, I'm walking into the kitchen like a lamb to the slaughter, honestly. I even tried to hide the plates like no one would notice. The line chef clocked it straight away though, sighed and just went, "Steve, you've got to be taking the piss. It's for table 7. Honestly, most embarrassing thing ever. But if that wasn't bad enough, drinks were even worse. I once gave the wrong table the wrong drinks, and not just nervously, no, delivered it, full confidence, sitting down like I was absolutely certain they were in the right place. The ticket was literally stuck to the tray, so I had no excuses. And the customer looked and went, "These aren't ours." And here comes the moment of shame. I looked at the ticket, then the table number, apologised, and then had to do the walk of shame to the table where the drink's supposed to go, and they were eyeing me up. And when I say daggers, I mean literal daggers. And do you know what the kicker is? I wasn't some clueless newbie on their first shift. I was management. Oh, hospitality. How I've missed you.
Quacks and Chats, a bearded Steve podcast.
And here's the thing, that wasn't just me being clumsy or daft, that was Burnout Brain, and it didn't stop at hospitality, it has followed me everywhere. When I went into support work, I thought it'd be a fresh start, and in many ways, it was very rewarding. So yeah, Burnout has this thing of just being able to creep up on you wherever you are. So like, I'd finish some days and be like, I've got nothing left in the tank for myself. I'd spend all day looking after other people's emotions and then just making sure they were safe and stable and supported. But it left me drained to the point I couldn't even process my own thoughts and feelings. And that's the thing with burnout. It's not about being lazy. It's about giving so much that there's just nothing left. And because I didn't want to face that, I jumped straight into streaming. At first, it was like an outlet. I was still doing the follow dance that I do on TikTok and Twitch, but still trying to bring the energy. But burnout struck there too. Like, I'd be halfway through a game and feel myself zoning out, nearly falling off my chair whilst pretending I was locked in. And gaming then took a hit because I was streaming games. So at first, gaming was an outlet. I'd finish stream and just be like, cool, I'm going to go play some games. But then you just sit staring at either your computer screen or your Xbox or PlayStation and just be like, I don't want to play. I just can't do it anymore. And here's the kicker. Even when I went on holiday, Burnout didn't let go. That's when that holy t-shirt comes back out. Burnout Brain and INFJ Brain goes, "Hey Steve, do you know what would be great? Instead of resting, let's go film everything. Like, when you go home, you can then edit it. Because YouTube will definitely pan out and it'll take off with all these holiday videos, and for it to then get less than 100 views, it was great. It was absolutely great. And then surprise, because I wasn't using my holidays to actually chill out, I came back even more knackered than when I actually left. And that's when burnout just became too much. Something had to give, because I was having mentee bees on live streams and my work notes weren't up to the standard that I hold them to. So yeah, something had to give. And at the time, I thought walking away from work was the best decision ever, because that was where I was spending majority of my time. That was the biggest drain. Also, so I thought. Turns out it wasn't. Burnout had sunk its claws in everything. Even after leaving, I still found myself staring at games I didn't want to play, or zoning out halfway through streams. And like I said, it happened the other day. I was having a mentee B on trying to get as many hours as I could on TikTok. But yeah, because I left, it didn't mean that the burnout stopped. But here's the flip side. Leaving did give me that space and the time that I needed. And that space eventually became this podcast. Now that decision bit me in the arse in many ways, more than one. But sitting here recording this, it feels like I've ended up exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast.
So yeah, now it's Gaming Corner. Did a bit of research and there wasn't much in the way of news. Apart from publisher Xbox Game Studios and developer Playground Games will reportedly announce Forza Horizon 6 at Tokyo Game Show 2025 next month. And that's according to circulated documents spotted by Windows Central. Leaker Nate the Hate has fanned the flames as well, saying that the plan is to announce this year, with TGS being the venue of intent. He has also claimed that the game will be set in Japan, so you get to take your Hudson Hornet around the streets of Tokyo. It's going to be great. Nate the Hate also added that the developer is targeting to release Forza Horizon 6 in the first half of 2026, but he isn't sure if there will be a Nintendo Switch 2 version. So if you're on Switch and you want to play Forza, you're going to have to jump over to Xbox or PlayStation or PC. And apart from that, there isn't much gaming news. Again, like I said, apart from Battlefield apparently getting gun camos, so another EA loot box system. Great. Cheers, EA.
Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast.
Right, as is now custom with every Quacks and Chats podcast, it's time we get some global funny news. And if you're a long time follower of mine, you already know this is basically this week what happened, just in podcast form. Same chaos, new home. So yeah, first one is that a mum to be is insisting she wants to name her baby Eamon. Now, she swears it's after a character from her favourite mobile game. Not even a book, a film, a mobile game. Already a bold choice. But here's the problem. Eamon is the name of the Grand Marquis of Hell in demonology. Yeah, a literal demon. He's described as having a face of a wolf and the tail of a snake. And just generally not the sort of guy you want turning up at your christening. Now, if that wasn't awkward enough for that family, the woman's sister only recently had a baby as well, and named it Lilith, spelt Lylyt. And if you know folklore, Lilith is another famous demon figure. So now the family's got a Lilith and potentially an Eamon on the way. It's like a Pokemon set that no one's ever asked for. Do you know what makes this story even more bizarre? This family are apparently very religious, and the cousin who shared this online said their pastor has even named Eamon in sermons, as in, don't listen to Eamon, he's a demon. Imagine having to sit through that in church and your kids then running around. And I'm sorry, but the thing that gets me the most is the name isn't even from like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or something epic. It's a mobile game, not Zelda, not Final Fantasy, mobile game. Imagine explaining that in 20 years as the kid going, why are you called Eamon? Oh, It's because my mum got too many gems saved up on Mobile Legends. Like, honestly, if I was that kid, I'll be praying the character was at least pay to win, because otherwise, it's a rough start to life. So yeah, one baby called Eamon, one baby called Lilith, and a whole family accidentally building their own demon roster. Honestly, I just don't know what's scarier, that or this next story, because at least you can change a baby's name. You can't exactly change an 82-year-old library fine. So here's what it is. A library book has just been returned nearly 82 years after it was borrowed. Yes, 82 years. The San Antonio Public Library got back a book called Your Child, His Family and Friends, checked out back in July 1943. It came with a letter that said, and I absolutely love this, Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore, which is brutal and hilarious and such a Quacks and Chats thing to write in a book. And again, this is where the story flips, because when it was borrowed, the late fee was 36 cents a day. And if you don't count inflation, we've done the math here at Quacks and Chats, that would be nearly $900. But if you adjust for inflation, it's $16,000. $16,000 for a library book. That's not a fine. That's a down payment on a house. Luckily, the library has scrapped late fees back in 2021. So if I was that family member, I'd be thanking my lucky stars, because imagine bringing that book back in 2020. They'd be taking more than just your library card. That would be like, bye-bye, there's your kidney gone. 16 grand that fine. Crazy. See, look at that. The world just keeps handing us content. It's great. I love funny stories of the week.
Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast.
Well, talking about segments that I love, here's my favourite one. It's Community Corner. I'm only joking. I love every part equally. But this is the part, it's not just me rambling into a mic and you guys listening, it's where you get involved. So after episode 2, my young carer story, a few people reached out into DMs and into the comments, and we're going to read some out now. So we've got someone saying that they didn't realise how much young carers carry until I listened. Respect to anyone that's been through that. And yeah, we're not saying names for that one, but absolutely, yeah, thank you so much for understanding what a young carer goes through. The next one was someone that I used to be a young carer with, and they've gone, I was a young carer myself. Listening back made me feel like someone gets it. So again, it's great that we've reached out and given people that platform after the last episode. And someone in the comments has gone, it takes a lot to open up with a backstory. Proud of you doing it. I too have my own story that maybe one day I will share when the time is right. And that is it. When the time is right for you to be able to speak your truths and be that person, to have that platform, you've got to do it. But only when that time's right. And following on from funny stories, Joker and Chelsea in chat, in the comments, went streamer mode there, saying chat and not comment, so came in with some corkers. So Chelsea's story is about how she tripped and face planted a freshly baked cheesecake, leaving the perfect face indent. Now, I love a cheesecake as much as the next person, but trying to eat it with your face is a new strategy, and I might have to give it a try, because I wolf it down anyway. So yeah, I'm going to give that one a try. There we go, Charles, thank you. And Joker he came in with some questionable driving skills and apparently trees that come out of nowhere. And as well, Joker, thanks for sharing your recipe for radiator cooked pigeon, but I think I'll be sticking to chicken, thanks. And that's what Quacks and Chats is about. Sharing stories, having a laugh, and realising we're not alone. And then, if I can do it, you can do it yourself and tell your stories and get your truths out. Now, I know the Discord's not buzzing, we'll get there, but in the meantime, down below, wherever you're listening this to, drop a comment and give me your best Burnout bloopers. I want to hear them. Another Burnout story of mine, if the first one at the start of this episode wasn't enough, was I tried to cook a lasagna with white wine sauce. Not the white sauce that you normally get for a lasagna, the white cheese sauce. It was white wine sauce. And do you know what makes it even worse? My housemate in the shop was saying, "You sure that's the correct one that we need to go get?" And I was like, yeah, 100%, the exact same thing. Look, white sauce, white wine sauce. So yeah, get home, start cooking the mince off and putting it in the lasagna, on the lasagna sheets, putting the white wine sauce over the top. And then our other housemate came down and was like, "What sauce did you use?" And we were like, "White wine." And they went, "Don't you mean white sauce?" And we were like, where my brain was completely burnt out and fried, I was like, it's the same thing. And then knowing normally it's not. So yeah, brain was fried. And then just dry fried the mince and then tried to put mixed veg in, and that's where it all kicked off and I almost got killed for it. But then thankfully we salvaged it by them greasing when I was scraping white wine sauce off lasagna sheets, just like some sad dinner surgeon. Something tells me that I should just avoid kitchens altogether. Hospitality, I've missed you.
Quacks and Chats, a bearded Steve podcast.
And that's it. Another week, another episode. Ticked off and done. So today we've had it all. Burnout brain in hospitality and support work, the chaos of streaming and flop vlogs, community corner, a roundup of the big gaming news, and of course some global funny news in true This Week What Happened style. Now, if you are enjoying the podcast, do me a favour, drop a rating or review or a like if you're listening on YouTube. It does really help. Make sure you're also commenting as well and sharing it out. Let's get this podcast out there for everyone to hear. And most importantly, keep sending comments, messages, your stories, burnout bloopers, whatever it is. I'll be sharing them in future episodes. Also, join the Discord. It's down in the description down below, to hear behind the scenes stuff, some funny stuff, and what happens when we're not doing the podcast. Next week, we're diving into the MBTI 16 personalities, especially the one that hits home the most for me, the INFJ. What's that, I hear you ask? You'll have to find out on the next episode of Quacks and Chats, the Bearded Steve podcast. Till then, goodbye.
Thanks for watching Quacks and Chats with the bearded Steve. A bearded Steve podcast.